Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Enlightening Your World, the media outreach of Beacon Light Global Ministries. I'm so glad you could join us today as we continue in this series called Thought Management. This is part 12, and our foundational scripture, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, from the Good News Translation, it says, "Be careful how you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts." So again, we want to just keep reinforcing this principle that your life is shaped by your thinking. It's not so much what's going on to you externally as it is how you're thinking internally that will shape your life. Now, we have different things going on external to us that aren't products of our own thinking, but we can't allow those things to dominate our future and dominate our success. So, your thought life is your responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility how you think, but your own. So, your success is not based on what's going on in politics, because there are people in this political climate who are successful, and they're legitimately, legally, ethically, they're successful because of the way they think. There are people, they've been in financial struggle under every administration since they've been an adult. So it's not the politics, it is the thought process that determines their success or failure. There's a real issue going on today, and it's been going on for generations. It's been going on probably since the beginning of civilization, called racism. But racism can't stop you if you have the right thinking. As long as you think that your problem is external, that means you have relinquished the responsibility of rising to the next level, rising to the occasion, and becoming successful no matter what. So we talked about three things that influence the way you think. We've talked about your environment, your experiences, and your exposures, the three E's. They influence, or they affect, AFFECT. They influence the way you think. But if you are not satisfied with what you're experiencing right now in your life, then it is your responsibility to change the way you think. So I want to reinforce Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23 with some more scripture. We can look at the same book, Proverbs, but let's go to chapter 23 and verse 7. This is from the New King James Version of the Bible, and we're just going to look at the A and B portion of that scripture. It says, "For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he." So you are the person you think you are. If you think you're defeated, that's who you are. If you think you're successful, that's who you are. If you think you can overcome the problems, the challenges, the circumstances in your life, that's who you are. If you are a person who thinks nothing will change until someone else changes or the circumstance changes, that's who you are. It's a real blunt reality. And it's a reality that won't change for anybody. It's a law. It's a principle. So if you want to change your environment, if you want to change anything in your life, you must change your response. And you change your response by changing the way you think. It's not what you say during good times. It's not just what you say during bad times. It's what you say all the time. And so, sometimes people think if you're talking to yourself, you're crazy. Well, I'm telling you, you're going to talk to yourself regardless. Whether you talk out loud and other people can hear you, or you sit in a room and you just think to yourself, you're talking to yourself. Make a decision to flood your mind, to flood your heart with thoughts in line with your destiny, thoughts in line with your purpose, thoughts in line with what you want to accomplish as goals in your life. Because as you think in your heart, so is he. And so I also want to add one more scripture, Matthew chapter 12, verse 34, and this is from the New King James Version, and we're going to look at the very end of that passage. It says, "For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The Amplified Bible, the Classic Edition, says, out of the abundance or the superabundance, the overflow of your heart, the mouth speaks. So what's in your heart in abundance will eventually show up in your external life. It's going to show up in your relationships. It's going to show up in your finances. It's going to show up in your career. It's going to show up in your education. It's going to show up in the successes and failures of your life out of the abundance of your heart. Have you ever been through a situation you were trying to meet a certain goal, and at the end of that trial, the end of that test, you failed, and before you knew it, you said, I knew I was going to fail. Well, that's why you failed, because deep down in your heart, you knew you were going to fail. And your heart won't lie to you. Your heart produces the thing that you plan into it. So it's so important to begin your day. And that's something I've reinforced the effort of doing this year, is to begin my day with the right thoughts. It's not just reading Bible scripture, but there's certain things I say to myself every day so I can dominate, so I can win in my day. Has every day been perfect? No, but I'm working on it to have more days of success than more days of failure. Every day won't work out exactly how I intended to work out, but in the end, if I get the desired result from any project, any plan, any goal that I set, then that means I have won. But if at the end of the test, the end of the plan or the project, I fail, that means I have some more thinking to work on. If you study the most successful people in your city, in your state, in your country, you will see they think differently. It's not they got big breaks, it's they got big thoughts. And those thoughts were deeply planted. They weren't just conscious mind thoughts, they were subconscious mind thoughts. It was in their actual spirit. And those thoughts shaped, they controlled their life. And at the end of the day, they succeeded. No matter how hard it was, no matter what came against them, success was inevitable because of their thoughts. Well, I'm running out of time, but I'm never out of message, and we're going to be back with part 13. But hey, you can get the rest of these messages by going to www.beaconlightglobal.org. And you can get every message on this series, Thought Management. We're also on Facebook on our Beacon Light page. So make sure you check that out. And we're also on Twitter and on YouTube. And so you should see all of those showing up on the bottom of your screen. So whatever way you want to connect to us, this is how you can ensure you get every message that comes out. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you next time.